in the past, then we are talking about bipolar. It means that you're swinging between the two poles. So the first thing you need to understand is that in mood disorders, the primary culprit, the primary in mood disorders, the primary thing, primary dysfunction is the abnormality of mood. The abnormality of mood. So the person is not able to regulate. Everybody is entitled to be able to regulate their mood, either the upper part or the lower part. The same way, you are entitled to be able to manage your body, your brain controls your blood pressure so that it doesn't go too high and it doesn't go too low. Some people have lost the ability to control their body. There's a dysfunction in the control. So either the top level gets dysfunctional and therefore they overshoot the limit, or the down level becomes dysfunctional and therefore they dip lower than expected. And there are some that swing from top to down alternatively or interchangeably. So that's what you must understand. Now, once you have understood that, then we can proceed. So the people with mood disorders, we said that number one is the presence of mood abnormality. And the mood abnormality could be up or down or alternating. Number two, so that's number two. Number one, that's a primary. Without it, we don't have a mood disorder. Number two is the disturbance. This will lead to this one will lead to a disturbance in cognitive function. This one will lead to the disturbance in cognitive function. Then the third bit, this will lead to disturbance in neurovegetative function. What are neurovegetative functions? Can anybody help? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we are here, Dr.
Yeah, I asked, what are neurovegetative functions?
We heard.
Julius. Julius wanted to say something.
Yes, Julius. Ah, okay. Can anybody hazard a guess?
Okay, give it a try.
I'll take a shot. Neuro meaning nervous. To have
No, it doesn't mean exactly that. Okay, neurovegetative functions are functions of survival. For example, sleep. For example, appetite. For example, libido.
That one too.
Oh, without libido, you cannot reproduce.
That is
it?
correct.
Okay, so it means, therefore, that we are talking about reproductive function. So those are what we refer to as many others. And then, of course, I've told you that mood tends to drive your energy, tends to drive your. So one of the things we need to survive is window embedded in the. So when you say when you say that you are in high spirits, what you're actually trying to tell me is that energy. And normally, when people are in high spirits, you see them active, high, everything feels good. They they feel like on cloud, that kind of thing. But when people say I'm in low spirits, they're drowsy, they don't want to. But these things happen. They happen within the range of normality. Those feelings, but in this, it's so severe that it's gone beyond range of normality. So those in high spirit, extremely in those in low spirit, they are moved, not able to regulate. Hope you are getting me.
Yes.
I'll take depression. We'll talk about depression. If there's any question, please ask.
I have one.
Yes.
My name is Foster. Please, with your earlier illustration about mania and depression and bipolar disorder being between the two, would somebody be correct thinking that manic depression, as we know, refer to the same as bipolar disorder?
It used to be called manic depression. It used to be called manic depression, depressive psychosis, manic depressive disorder, but that is an old term. What we know is that the mood has two poles, like I said, an upper pole. These people go. So that's what happened. That's why we now call it bipolar disorder. In other words, some manuals they are referred to as bipolar, yeah, bipolar affective or disorders, same as bipolar disorder. Now we have two major types of. According to, I've asked you to read about DSM-5 and ICD. So according to the DSM-5, we have two main types. We have bipolar 1, bipolar 1 is very severe form. Bipolar 2 is. Now, bipolar 1, the person swings between mania and major depressive disorder. Bipolar 2, the person's hypomania and either dysthymia. No, and sorry, and major depressive disorder. So the person with bipolar 1, which is very severe, and that is why the two extremes come together. Bipolar 2, you have one less extreme, one major. So people with bipolar 2 are less are less sick than the people with one. I hope this point is made clear.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm saying that bipolar 1 is a severer form than bipolar 2. And bipolar 1, the person swings from mania to major depression. But 2, the person swings from hypomania. So they swing the lesser form of mania to the major form of depression. And that is why this is less than that in terms of severity. I hope you are getting me. Hello?
Yes, their mic is actually off. That's why. But they said yes.
Oh, okay.
We are
Yes.
with you. Yes.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
please,
sorry,
I think he needs that feedback. When you want to say yes,
if I,
mic
More
on.
I need to understand that you are understanding me. Okay, good. Sorry, I'm running out of battery, so I have to. Anyway, so we would continue. Uh, so if you understand the difference between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2, then I'm happy. I'm using the DSM to simplify. ICD makes it a bit complex. And if you understand the DSM, you probably will be able to. Now, I'm
Dr.
going to
Vinay.
take. Yes,
The
please go
two
ahead. Oh, okay.
bipolar, they all sort of are the major. Although bipolar,
They don't end. They don't end. It means that in bipolar 1, the person swings from main has and swings between main major depressive disorder. There are times the person has major depression. There are times for high. There are times in bipolar 2, the person has a lesser severe fault, and sometimes that's the difference. So I'll talk about depression, and then you can understand the bipolar automatically. So I'm going to talk about depression. I'm going to talk about depression within the domains of mood. So in the mood is down here, and therefore the energy is down. And people with, if your energy is down, they feel tired, they feel fatigued. So they complain. One of the first complaints will be tired. So they tell you that they easily tire, or either by when they walk a little, they are tired. When they do anything, they're tired, and they cannot explain. They cannot fully explain or account for it. So most times they feel tired, but they cannot tell you. They put a finger on why they are tired.
please ask a
Please do.
they feel tired, appetite, and therefore are not able to,
No,
or they still
no.
eat normally.
The key is here. The key is here. I told you, your mood level determines your energy. And if you are in low spirit, it means your mood is low. If you're in high spirit, mood is high. Right? Just that your mood determines. It doesn't has. It doesn't. There's nothing to do with hunger or appetite. Now, if you are not taking enough food, then you are not supplying the energy we are talking about is you are not supplying the body. In this case, they don't lack food, but they feel tired, which eventually will affect their appetite along, not the other way around. Are we getting there? Okay. So you need to understand it right very well that your mood determines. Once the mood is dysregulating, then energy is it won't, not because you are not eating enough food. Right. Not eating enough food as a result of the mood going down. And therefore eventually they are, so they complain of fatigue. And because they feel fatigued, they don't engage, they don't they fail to engage in it. So you find them, we normally say they are lazy because they'll be sitting or lying mostly, lie down, not. They'll keep to themselves. They would not engage in usual activities that they used to be. So if they used to go for lectures, you find they're in bed most that they sit, or they feel that way. They don't have the needed energy to walk all the way that they used to be able to do, not do, want to conserve energy. So in depression, everything is done to conserve energy, or mitigate sadness. So you find out that if they were interested in helping their children their homework expenditure, they don't engage in this talking, like engaging in conversation with family. They stop. As I'm talking to you, I've expended a lot of energy. You are talking back at me. You are expending a lot. Tired at the least exertion, and you find out that answering their phone because the what do you call it? Your enthusiasm to engage in social media or even or through text message or some bit of they will not be. You find in terms of uh, what do you call it, symptom, find one they lose interest, things because they don't have the energy to engage, loss of interest, loss of interest. They isolate and not engage. So this one is the same as social withdrawal. So you have to differentiate. One of the things clinicians do routinely is to differentiate the, the meaning of social withdrawal, whether it is connoting psychotic disorder or into depression. Now, the other thing about when they, so we've talked about fatigue, which is the primary thing there, loss of interest. They don't enjoy things they used to enjoy, so lack of enjoyment. Lack of enjoyment, which we refer to as anhedonia. Okay, and actually anhedonia is a twofold: lack of enjoyment and pleasure. Lack of enjoyment here, so they don't enjoy anything, and that comes to it to to eat, to sit down and eat energy, sit down and able to engage in, I mean, dipping your hand in the food and lifting it up into your mouth is energy. Your muscles are using energy. You find out that they don't feel like doing it over time. Energies are going down, they are still going out in that. So their appetite gets affected two ways. Their appetite gets affected in two because of fatigue. The second is that they don't enjoy the food they eat. So some of them will tell you, I just, because I feel I need the energy, but I don't enjoy the food. I put it in my mouth, it doesn't taste. I hope you've heard some people say that too, that they just force themselves to eat because they should eat for energy, survive, but they don't have a taste of the food. So that is where appetite. The same thing occurs with libido. The same thing occurs with libido. So you have libido going down mostly. So libido goes down. If libido goes down, especially for men, then it will also manifest an erection, which we refer to as potential. So really, this is a psychological impact. Yeah, the erectile function of the penis, and therefore, if the penis does not erect, then you cannot engage in sexual activity. Mind you, sexual activity is energy sapping. All comes back to here. So the brain down regulates on that. For women, because they are mostly recipients in a relationship, they may be compelled to provide the avenue to the man, but they do not enjoy. So the anhedonia or lack of pleasure extends to libido. So you would find a lot of women, partnership, relationship, marriage, etc., cohabit, who have depression and tell you they just allow their partner to enjoy the sexual experience. Really, it is a bother. So that's what happens. So I've veered into the domain of neurovegetative. Neurovegetative function begin to go down. Now, there is a paradox when it comes to appetite. Some people with depression may not eat because it is energy sapping, but others, so here, not eat at all, not eat. Others, instead of not eat and aggravating their situation, they will eat in little bits. They will eat little bit, but they pick, they do like what alcoholics do. Instead of drinking 5 bottles of beer, you would take a tot of vodka, which would equate to 5 bottles of beer. If or 10 bottles of beer, let me say. If a tot of vodka contains 40% alcohol, then you need to take 9 to 10 bottles of beer to get 40%. So the typical alcoholic would take a tot, small volume, high dosage. So people with depression, instead of expending a lot of energy eating a ball of kenke or fufu, they will pick on little bits of high caloric foods. Example, chocolate, pastries, high caloric drinks like Coca-Cola, so on. They take little bits of it at frequent intervals. And because they do that, they put on weight. But here, they lose weight. I hope you are getting it.
Yes, we are with you. Very interesting.
Great. So that's a bit about the appetite. Now, anybody who complains of their appetite and has lost their a weight equivalent to 5% or more of their weight is significant and points towards depression. If you have lost your weight or a weight change, let me put it that way, a weight change, either gained or lost your weight, 5% change, it either up or down, due to this, what I've explained with the appetite, then you may be suffering from depression if your mood is affected and your energy levels are affected. That means mood is dysregulating and you are fatigued, loss of interest in things that you use, and so on. Now, let me come to. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. Is it in reference to 5% or down? Is it in reference
your pre-existing weight before all of this started? And normally we measure it in the last 1 month.
Okay.
Good. Now let me come to sleep. Sleep is a neurovegetative function which gets affected. Normally in sleep is an active process, which means that there is expenditure of energy. And I've told you that in depression, the brain tends to conserve what? Energy for emergency, which never comes. Okay. The brain tends to conserve energy. So sleep is just, you don't just fall down and sleep passively. It's an active process by the brain. It uses energy, uses ATP to get you to sleep. That is why you can actually prevent yourself from sleeping. It's also an active process. When you activate certain parts of your brain and deactivate certain parts of your brain, stall the process of sleep. So we all have a biological clock that at certain times we just fall asleep, just feel sleepy. But that is the time we fall asleep, wake up. But there are times you want to fall asleep, but you are in a certain situation, you can't sleep. Therefore, actively engage parts of that process. Therefore, you can have 2 or 3 more hours without sleep before you get back to sleep. Now, because it is an energy sapping process, this process is diminished, and therefore they suffer insomnia. Now, in people with depression, the reason why they we call it insomnia, that they want to sleep, but they can't. Typically, the part of the sleep cycle that is affected is the part that is the maintenance of sleep. Sleep is in 2 major parts, initiation and maintenance. Okay, so when I lie on my bed, I drift off to sleep. Active process. So energy is sapped, but I need energy to sustain it. But the energy down because the body can't afford to expend that much. So I sleep for a short period and wake up. Sleep for a short period, wake up. And I cannot sleep again because the body cannot afford to expend excess energy in that sense. So they have what we call terminal insomnia mostly. They have what is called insomnia. And what is terminal insomnia? Terminal insomnia is the inability or the terminal. So they have what you call terminal, which is the predominant. They could also have what you call mixed insomnia, depending on the severity, where they fall asleep. Little thing, they wake up, they struggle to fall asleep. Shortly they wake up, so they can wake up about 5 to 8. Terminal insomnia, any waking 2 or more hours prior to your usual waking time is terminal insomnia. So if I wake up at 5 a.m., at this time I wake up at 3 and I'm not able to sleep. I want to sleep, but I can't sleep. That is terminal insomnia. And this is the predominant type of insomnia, depression. The second most predominant is mixed in, where you initiate, spend a bit of energy, but you cannot sustain. Wake up, yet again, wake up, so on. So you can wake up several times before daybreak. Usually they wake up in the tired, but they've not had sleep. They couldn't have. So they wake up in the morning worse off than they went to sleep. Continuous on a daily basis. That is the basis of the severity of depression. Now, the neurovegetative, neurocognitive, the cognitive disturbances, cognition, we've talked about that under psychosis. Cognition, we're talking about memory, attention, concentration, executive function.
Please, a question.
Yes, go ahead. Who am I talking? Who am I listening to actually?
Done.
Aha, yeah.
Can you
Susan, go
suffer
ahead.
insomnia without being depressed?
Yes, you can. You can suffer. Those are called the. We have sleep disorders, but normally, about 2/3 of people with insomnia would have as a trigger. So you can suffer insomnia. I mean, for those of us who work night shifts and odd shifts and so on, our sleep cycle can get messed up without us. For example, in the last 36 hours, I've barely slept 6 hours, right? And going to continue for a few more days, so maybe day. Now, if this continues over time, then my sleep is messed up.
We need to
So
work
I
on you
can.
so that
I know, right? So people like us in the kind of profession that we are in can really get out and not be depressed. But by and large, insomnia tends to be one cardinal symptom of mental health problem, and especially may point to sometimes to it points to psychotic disorder, but mostly to a mood disorder. In fact, you have insomnia both in depression, they are in different contexts. I've explained to you the context in which insomnia in depression. You need to understand the context. And I have explained this since we started discussion on psychosis, that it is contextual. Otherwise, you always make a mistake and you misdiagnose or you come to a wrong. So, memory, attention, concentration. You are concentrating this lecture. It is not automatic. Your brain is burning energy to keep you focused. You are attentive. It's an active process. So all of these are active processes. And as scientists, I hope and believe that at your level, when I say active, it means you are burning ATPs.
Yeah.
The brain is, yes, the brain is burning energy. Something is knocking something somewhere. That is the active to make sure that that happens. And because of that, you have lapses in attention, concentration, or all of them. And depending on the severity, not all the functions that go at one go. One or the other as the severity goes on. The problem. So your cognition goes down. You realize that mostly we are talking about almost every function going down, down. So you find out that depression, which is synonymous to your mood down, the three main domains, mood, neurocognitive function, neurovegetative function, they all tend to go down. So you find that your symptoms are in tandem with your mood. They go in the same direction. And that is one major difference psychotic and mood disorders. Psychotic disorders, the various domains of cognition, mood, and the rest, they go haphazard. That is why there's a disarray in psychosis. In mood disorders, depression, the various domains tend to follow the direction of the. When I come to mania, you will find that because mania is high mood, energy is high, a lot of these go in tandem with the mood. You would have the same, almost about, when it comes to cognition, sometimes neurovegetation, there will be some differences. Then, be in here, the context is to preserve energy. So these are active processes. So dysfunction will not proceed in the way memory, for example, will not proceed that is meant to store in. So you would say that so you find out that they forget easily new information, they forget new old information, they will still remember. So their long-term memory is intact, but their working memory, which comprises a bit of your short-term and new information, they tend to lose that. So you told them something right now, you turn around and they forgot. Sitting in class and whatever the teacher says, they can. Yeah, so you find that the people suffering from depression at work, they make a lot of mistakes. They make a lot of unpardonably silly mistakes because they cannot focus. These two functions tend to give you focus. They can't focus. So they count, the thing is 10, you write 6 because they couldn't focus on it. So if you have an accountant who is suffering from depression, it will cause financial loss to your job. And so on. If you have a pharmacist who is at the supervising the of medications, critical medications to patients, they will mix up because they are cognitive function. So it's depression. It's not just a matter of feeling sad and all. No, it goes beyond, and it has far-reaching. So when you hear that somebody has committed some kind of blunders, you must evaluate, think about it, analyze it critically, and be able to figure out that the person might be suffering from. I will give you a typical example of a patient I had in the specialization. A young lady in her mid-20s came to my office and told me she was actually the toast of her boss because she was so hardworking and a very good secretary. Now she tendered in her resignation to her boss, but because she was so good, the boss refused to accept her resignation and asked her why. She told me that she had told, and the boss actually noticed, beginning to a lot of secretarial work, and the boss kept correcting her. Now, why she felt embarrassed was when she had been corrected, she makes a mistake on the corrected ones. And she can be corrected 3, 4 times. Still make a mistake, the recorrected one. She found out that losing her, she couldn't recall things that was asked to that. So she thought that she should. Mind you, people with mood disorders, especially depression, recognize they have a problem. Difference with people with psychotic. People with psychotic disorders don't have insight. People with mood disorders, they do have insight, especially people with depression. Like they recognize the problem. So this lady came to me and then evaluated all of these domains that we've talked about. The fact, it doesn't mean that the memory is lost. No, not lost. What is happening is that the attention and concentration bit is not functioning well, and you need your attention and concentration for your memory to be functional. So the memory, there's no problem with it. If we are able to fix the depression, the concentration and attention would improve. That will fix the memory. So that is exactly what we did, and he went back to work. In a matter of a couple of weeks, he went back. So these are some of the symptoms that you could get. There, you can read more about depression in manuals. You get all kinds of other symptoms to back you up. Now, because they get fatigued, their movements become slow. So in some textbooks, you'll find what you call psychomotor retardation. Psychomotor retardation. What it just means is the person's movement becomes slow. They, you say, lazy. Mostly they are accused of being not wanting what they are expecting.
Dr. Denise, this is really very interesting. We can go on and on, but we have just about 15 minutes.
Okay. I will just butcher it, but let me finish with mania quickly. Please read more about this, and then tomorrow you can any questions.
Oh,
Please
hello,
just go.
sorry.
Yeah, hello.
I don't know what you
Oh,
wanted
sorry.
to write just after the concert.
Oh, I said focus, right?
There was some abbreviation.
Executive function.
Thank you.
Executive function. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Now, mania. So the same yardstick. Mood is up, which means that they have a sense of bloated energy. So you find that they talk a lot. When you have excess money, you spend it anyhow. Money that is so much for you, they have more than enough energy. So instead of conserving, they are expending. So anything to help them they will engage in. They engage in talking, so they talk a lot, they become talkative, excessively talkative from their usual self. They can talk from morning to the next morning. They engage in activities, engage in multiple activities, not because of the activities in themselves. It all towards what? Spending energy. They have more than enough. So multiple activities, and these are goal directed. They are just not they are doing it, and sometimes it makes sense. They go shopping. They don't really need the shopping, but they go do that. They move around. They go visit friends, make time for friends. They do all kinds of things. And the shopping comes with expenditure, expend of money, spending money. Okay, they have because they have enough energy, their sense worth bloated self-worth. So they feel they are not able to appreciate their real level. So they feel very good. That is why we say they are grandiose. They are grandiose.
A quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question. Does
Yes, Charles.
does gender has an influence?
When it comes to, depends on the condition.
Especially the spending
Depression,
part
we
and
have.
the shopping.
Oh no, it doesn't. We have men who shop a lot or spend a lot of money, and we also have ladies who. We have guys. Well, gender may have, but it's not so explicit. We have guys who would roam around town, do big things, buy things, and come back and give the bill to their parents to pay or their spouse. They don't even have, but they just went shopping big.
I think that is more common. Also, in Medina be. I mean, I've on
I have I had a patient before I traveled with he manages, they run a construction firm, an SME, and very successful SME with a wife, and he had a bout of mania. He went to Golden Tulip Pharmacy and went checked into the presidential suite for like a week with all the largesse, all in every shot. So you can imagine how much money that went there. All of it was from account, and he was the signatory. All the money just went and rented a Ferrari, rented some for the friends to go on their whatever, rich, just have fun. So these are some of the things that happen. When it comes to neurovegetative function, neurovegetative. I'll talk about libido. They have more energy, so they engage in sex a lot.
Can I ask a question before we continue?
Yes,
Divine.
please.
This is divine.
Yeah, divine.
Yes. A mania and somebody, one of the four temperaments, a sanguine. For one to distinguish.
Yes. What you're talking about is personality. Personality is built from your teenage, and it stays relatively stable throughout your life. There is no change in. Here we are talking about the change in your usual. So that's the defining thing. Good. Now I'll talk about libido because it's one thing that is very prominent among people. They engage in multiple sexual encounters because their drive is so high. Why? Because they want to expand. So for the guys, they may rape, especially if you are friends with a guy who has become manic and you're a lady who are at risk. They may rape you. Now, if the ladies tend to give off quickly sex and they do make impulsive decisions about sex. And so a lot of people with mania have come with painful questions if they are episodes where they might have gotten themselves pregnant. I have had a number of patients who got ladies who got pregnant during the manic because they engage in sexual exploitation. And guys who gotten that they wouldn't have hanged out with, adult with it. So mostly, if you read the new textbook, one of the things that is a criteria in the current DSM is they engage in activities with consequences. This is what they mean.
Can I ask a question,
So
please?
yeah, Susan again, right?
Yes. So
Okay, good.
there are some people that are described as nymphomaniacs and or sex addicts. We had the famous golfer Tiger Woods was
Tiger Woods,
supposed to be engaging in multiple sex acts or whatever it is. Would you say that it's
and then we had some local one, right?
Yes,
uh,
yes.
I don't remember the local ones. Please.
I'll give you the detail.
Okay. So would you say, I mean, people, females that are described as nymphomaniacs, males that are.
Mostly they have a
Say.
mood problem.
So
Mostly they have a mood
promiscuity is a
disorder.
disease.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I like your latter answer. You didn't say that.
I wouldn't say that. Promiscuity is not a disease. But people who cannot help themselves when it sexual indiscretion, they have a mood disorder, especially on the upper side of. If you go into details, Tiger Woods' life, realize that he's battling with some form of depression, bipolar. Yeah. So, and mostly in the manic phase, especially they start slowly. They are hugely successful in things they do. There's this musician called Rod Stewart. He's bipolar. He was hugely successful. But mind you, because it's a disease, it gets severer with time without adequate intervention. Therefore, they fall on their own sword. So it's no surprise in of his success. Tiger Woods stepped down because you can't the disease worked on down with one complaint or the other. It's all because there might be an underlying problem. I can't be so certain, but
so Dr. Donne, a quick one. I'm sure probably you will come to that in your final. How do psychiatrists, psychologists work to? I'm seeing some components have to do. For example, the situation comes. All the psychologists, when you have to work together.
As far as the field is concerned, both really need to work together. It's not either or. Not mutually exclusive. You have to work. So, and again, I would defer a bit to Courage. Courage will tell you that in the department, all are on deck when a patient comes. There are times the patient will see the psychologist first, but eventually it becomes a common patient. There are times the patient will see the psychiatrist first, but eventually becomes a common patient. So it's important that that aspect is that it's not either or.
Dr. Donate, ones depressive tendency, depression. What is suicidal tendency?
Yeah.
Suicidal tendencies. Yeah. And then the other thing that is kind of in my mind, why are celebrities? Quite a number of celebrities, have died or have had very serious bipolar.
The creative art has been associated with bipolar. the creative arts has been hugely associated with bipolar, and that is why. So that's a very simple answer to that. A lot of people in their hypomanic states, very creative, extremely creative, both literature, art, as in as we know it from College of Art, and so on. So you'd find people who are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, we are
find
with you.
people in the creative arts, literature, people like Shakespeare. They all had some form of problems. Now we know. Beethoven, currently RT. So you'll find it predominant. You all know Mike battling with and then a number of them. So it's hugely associated. The second one was what?
Suicidal.
Yeah, suicide. Now, one thing about depression that because it it's it affects the person's self-esteem. Like they look at eventually for living. It is hugely painful. Now, for those, if you are a lady, one in there, I think you can describe what labor pain labor pain is. People with depression suffer more than gone through it. This is, I mean, evidence in studies that are where tend to rate the distress, either equated or made it worse than labor. The same thing happens where that's how we know that crisis in the cell is more severe. The pain, same here. So it's an illness where people suffer. They suffer much the same as a patient who would end stage kidney disease and so forth. So it's not a small. They go through distress. So one of the things is that they come to the conclusion the best is to leave. So suicide occurs both and depression, but in different contexts. In depression, person feels there is no hope, the best way to die. Mania, they actually die inadvertently from being feeling they have special abilities and they engage in responsible behavior that lead to death. For example, some of them in their money have jumped from a bridge, like the Legon student who jumped at death. My person that I had may suggest that she was not necessarily depressed. So it's like, I believe I can fly. So she flew. So these are some of the things that can happen. I hope I have answered.
Yes. Yes. Is it becoming an epidemic? Depression?
Oh yes, it's always been an epidemic. Depression is the singular most important step in possession. It's as high as 90% of people commit suicide were suffering from.
Very much. Dr. Dene, we want to thank you so very much. I can see from the faces that people would really like to know much about management of it so that we ourselves do not become victims. But I want to thank you very much. I think it's past 3:30. I can hear the applause. If you switch on your mic, yes. So it's been very, very insightful.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very insightful and very interesting. Except that they have to, we have to end it now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that we'll have.
I hope
more
tomorrow I'll be able to see the faces because I also long to put names to faces.
Definitely, we'll try.
And start at 6.
Have a good night, Dr. Dune. Somebody, okay, good morning. All right, so the last one from Dorcas, and then maybe.
Okay.
Dorcas, we can hear you.
I don't know whether you'll be doing that later, but you come. We also have
Yes. Yeah, we have. That's why the manuals are there. I want you to go and read DSM-4, DSM-5, CD10. Okay, that is our Bible for measuring normality.
So once again, thank you very much, and a very good morning, Dr.
Thank
Dune.
you, and see you tomorrow. Hopefully.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, folks, I think we have ended our lunch. It's quite late. So you're gonna have some are saying supper lunch. So please enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, let's try and start it early.
Yeah, like 6:30.
We have a lot of materials.
Right?
Well, that's 8 a.m. 6:30 will be too early. 6:30 will be too early. So 8 a.m. Let's try and start at 8 a.m. and then we'll start with Dr. Abuchi.